Hi, welcome back to Nutritious Academy. Myself Sai Shivani. Yes, ప్రీవియస్ వీడియోలో సర్వింగ్ సైజెస్ గురించి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేసుకున్నాము. దాంట్లో మనము ఆ వీడియోలో 3 టాపిక్స్ని కవర్ చేసేసాము. The fourth topic is about menu planning, right? So what is meant by this menu planning? So everything will goes on calculations and planning menus and adding different type of recipes, different type of ingredients. So those all is considered in menu planning. It's just a rough intro. So yes, we have to move on with the detailed explanation in this video. I'll give complete explanation on menu planning. So let's dive in. సో ఎస్ ఫస్ట్లీ మెను ప్లానింగ్ గురించి తెలిసేటందుకు ముందు వీ హ్యావ్ సమ్ ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ అండ్ సమ్ గైడ్లైన్సెస్ అండ్ ఆల్సో వీ హ్యావ్ సమ్ స్టెప్స్ that should be done during this menu planning. So firstly, before knowing these guidelines and steps, first we have to know the principles. So everything, I mean, see, if you're dealing with something, you have to read the principles. And principles and koni limits and boundaries that should not be exceed, right? So that is principle. So alage menu planning kuda koni principles unnai. So general ga బిఫోర్ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ ది ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ ఆల్సో ఐ వాంట్ టు టాక్. ఫస్ట్లీ మెనూ ప్లాన్ చేసేటప్పుడు మనకి ఒక్క క్లయింటే వస్తుంది, రైట్? సో ఒక్క క్లయింట్ వచ్చినప్పుడు విల్ గివ్ ద పూరా ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ విల్ గివ్ ఇన్ లైక్ ఓన్లీ టు ది క్లయింట్, బట్ యూ ఆల్సో నీడ్ టు కన్సిడర్ ది హోల్ ఫ్యామిలీ. తనకు దానికోసమే లేకుంటే అతను ఒక్కడి కోసమే ఫుడ్ అనేది కుక్ చేసుకోవడానికి ఉండదు. హోల్ ఫ్యామిలీకి కూడా న్యూట్రిషనల్లీ అడిక్వేట్ అనేది ఉండాలి. సో అలాగా మనం మెను ప్లాన్ అనేది చేయాలి. దిస్ ఇస్ ద నోట్ బిఫోర్ నోయింగ్ అబౌట్ ది ప్రిన్సిపల్స్. ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ గివింగ్ అ మెను ప్లాన్, ఐ మీన్, సి, మెను ప్లానింగ్ ఈజ్ నాట్ what we will say should not give us a very point or something. See, if you are planning a balanced diet, then that diet should be considered to the whole family, not only to the particular person. That's what I'm trying to say. So alanti type of methods toti we have to do. So it's just a simple, if you know the portion sizes, serving sizes and RDS, then you can crack these menu plannings. So yes, first we'll look into the principles. And generally basic ga deenki steps unnai. Like, see, first steps is nothing but the method of learning this menu planning. So first we have to know about principles of menu planning. Okay, next we need to know about guidelines of menus, and next steps of menu planning. Right. So general basic principles of menu planning we'll talk here, and next guidelines, like in which while doing these steps of menu planning, what type of notes or cautious or how much the calories should be given, those all will discuss in this guidelines. And steps of menu planning is nothing but how you will crack this menu. Like I said in previous video, like first you have to do the RDA, and next about menu for the day. Those all steps you learn in these steps of menu planning. So this is the small intro of the menu planning. First we'll look into the principles of menu planning. So yes, let's look at it. So while planning of the menus, there are some basic principles that we need to follow. The first principle is you need to consider the age of the client. It is very important. And next you need to consider gender. Okay, and third, you need to know their nutritional assessments. Mainly their we'll write that one another, but firstly we'll know the rough thing. I'll make it very easier. So a gender, and after that their occupation and their economic status and their family composition, family composition and also their socio socio-economic, right? Cultural factors. Already we wrote here economic, right? Social, cultural factors in religion. Well, right here. In religion, okay, and also need to consider environmental condition, and next also. So now we'll deal with the assessments, okay. So first you need to know their nutritional assessments, which consider the body weight and pura body stature, okay. And next you also need to consider their physiological status, physiological status, and next you need to consider their pathological state conditions, okay, short form. And now we'll dive into the psychological conditions, like you need to know their food habits and food choices and meal time, and then you need to know their food cost, how much they are giving, and finally you need to know the availability of food. This is main important, we'll write here. Lastly we'll write food cost, availability of food, and here food cost. So these are the 13 principles. How many? 13 principles. So firstly we'll go to the first section, that is age. So age plays an important role while planning a menu. So what is meant by this age? See, from 0 to today's lifespan is, we'll say, at 60 years. Okay, but as considered we need to give 100. So we have this much of lifespan, right? So for each lifespan we have some names like infancy, toddlers, and children, adolescent, adult, and next elderly or geriatric. So we need to speak in a very nutritional language now onwards. So let us, elderly is nothing but geriatric. And in after adolescent, if you are a woman, we'll talk in gender, okay. First we'll focus on this age. So in different type of this growth of our life period, we will face numerous of diseases and numerous of health causes, and also we will face the growth and development of our body. So for that, for example, if you give a menu plan for the infancy, what you will include? Breast feeding and some of powders, supplement powders, or some of other milk if the mother doesn't give the breast milk, right? So that type of menu you will give. So the same carries to the toddlers, children, adolescents, adults, geriatrics also, but the planning of the menu changes based on the age. The planning of the menu changes. For geriatric, you need to consider the medical issues they are facing. For the adolescents, with the health, if the adolescent is facing any health issue, and with also the growth of the adolescent is a very growth period, right? So with the growth of that adolescent period also, we need to give adequate of nutrition. So like that type of principles for each thing, for each period of the growth, that type of principles we need to follow in the age. So age plays an important role in the menu planning. That's the first principle you need to see in the menu planning. Age is considered. So next is gender. As I said, gender is man and woman, male and female. So for these gender, for male has different type of calories consumption, and women have different types of calorie consumption, right? For those also, see, for women, if I'll tell in a very less manner, a woman goes through menstrual cycles, pregnant phase, and lactation phase, right? So for them we have to give adequate nutrition during those periods. So gender also plays an important role during menu planning. A simple example here. So for that we need to follow the gender. So gender plays an important role. And next is about occupation. So firstly, why this occupation is mentioned here? Because we have to know whether they are sedentary or moderate workers, right? If they are sedentary, more physical activity should be given. If they are moderate, then according to their medical issues and according to their lifestyle, we need to consider. So that's why occupation is asked. So these was kept in third platform of during menu planning. So occupation also plays an important role. Okay. Our fourth one, now we'll see about economic status. So what is this economic status mean? Nothing but if the client can afford the food that or ingredients that he can buy. సి ఇప్పుడు మనం ఒక మెనూ ప్లాన్ రాసిచ్చాము, విచ్ కన్సిడర్స్ ఆల్మండ్స్, క్యాష్యూస్ ఆర్ ఎనీ రిచ్ ఫ్రూట్స్, స్ట్రాబెర్రీస్. ఇప్పుడు ఈ ఎకనామిక్ స్టేటస్లో ఈజ్ ద క్లయింట్ కెన్ అఫోర్డ్ దట్ ఆల్మండ్స్, పూరా డ్రై ఫ్రూట్స్? It costs more than 300 plus rupees. Is the only person can eat the? If we buy, ఇప్పుడు జనరల్గా మిడిల్ క్లాస్ ఎకనామిక్ స్టేటస్ చూస్తే వాళ్ళు కొనుక్కునే ఏ ప్రోడక్ట్ అయినా వాళ్ళ ఎంటైర్ ఫ్యామిలీకి వచ్చేలా కొనుక్కుంటారు, రైట్? ఇక్కడ మనము ఒక ఇండివిజువల్ క్లయింట్కి రాసిస్తున్నాం అంటే ఆ ఇండివిజువల్ క్లయింట్ మాత్రమే కన్జ్యూమ్ చేయాలి, రైట్? ఒకవేళ రాసిస్తే. సో కానీ మనం మెయిన్ థింగ్ ఏంటి, ఎంటైర్ ఫ్యామిలీకి అడిక్వేట్ న్యూట్రిషన్ ఉండాలి అని. అలా చూసుకొని we need to consider the menus while planning. So that is the main motto of this economic status. We have to know whether he is a below middle class or upper middle class or a rich or I can afford or not. That it should be noted. So boundaries ane daataddu. Ethics, during menu planning, ethics plays here. That's why, due to the respect of the ethics, economic status is considered. Okay. And next is coming to the family composition. So see, how many members the family composition is nothing but, in a family how many members were there, and we need to we have to calculate the per capita income also per month, how much the per capita is coming, and how per that how many the food is consumed, like how much the food is they are affording to their members. So if we know the economic status and the family members, we can also calculate in moderate menu plans, right? That is the basic thing. Family composition is nothing but if they are cooking the enough food to their family or not. See, a person comes and they say I am malnourished. Okay, bhai, bilkul क्यों? then why you're malnourished? Is there anything deficient in your body? Is your body fault, or you're consuming a very little food that is afforded by your family? So like that. So with the help of this principle, we can also calculate, we can also have a good idea during planning of the meal. Okay, so that is about family composition. I won't lag it out. And next, coming to the social cultural factors and religions. See here, social why I have written religion and cultural means, some if you are planning for a North Indians, there are some members who doesn't consume meat, or some members who doesn't consume either vegetarian or either meat. They are purely vegans. So that type of socio-cultural is also there. And also, not only North India, also say with the South also, it's not about north or south, it's about the cultural, how you're incorporating in your body, or you're growing the lifestyle around your boundaries. Okay, and coming to the religion, as I said, some members consume vegetarians and some members consume non-vegetarians, so that should also need to be noted. If you want to reach the protein in their menus, then do you give a vegetarian person you will give what we will say chicken? It doesn't sense, right? They won't even agree. So for that also we need to see the religion. So in place of chicken, you will give some soya products for protein enrich. So like that, you need these exchanges also there. We have that thing. So that's why these social cultural factor and religion is put on the sixth principle. And next, coming to the environmental conditions. So environmental conditions also plays an important role because in some regions, some some food is grown very healthy manner, right? Some foods are exported. So in that sense also, see, if I'm living in a Hyderabad, right? I'm living in a Hyderabad. So in Hyderabad and in Telangana, I'll get more of millets and cereals. In that sense, the ingredients which were located in our local thing, I'll prescribe the same ingredients now. So that is about environmental condition. Climate also plays an important role. The soil which enriches every nutrients into the food item, into the crop, that gives a very nutritious thing to the body. So that's why the seventh principle is incorporated as environmental condition. And next, coming to the eighth one, that is body weight and body stature. So yes, according to body weight, energy and protein need differ, right? So body stature helps to gauge the total energy needs of a person. So what we will say, first you need to know their BMIs, right? We have to know their BMIs. So with the help of that, we can know how much calories they are consuming and how much energy. BMR also we can also know. So this total will give a body structure, that how much a person can need, the energy or the calories or the proteins that the person should consume. So overweight or reducing weight or dieting of that body helps in this eighth principle. Next, about physiological status. So pura ka pura health status we'll say. So health status plays an important role during menu planning also. Some example is that lactation or during pregnancy or during lactation, a normal adult woman needs a very enhanced nutrition. Also for adolescent girl, she goes through menstrual cycle, which is a very starting process, right? So during that period, a woman loses very much of iron due to blood loss, right? So iron is very needed during adolescent girl. So in that process, due to the examination of this physiological status, if we know, we can give the deficient type of nutrients that the girl is going through. So that is also plays an important role. So that's why it is noted in the ninth principle. And next is about pathological conditions. Generally, pathological disorders, for example, the person is going through diabetes mellitus, DM. DM2 is if the person is going through. So what you will do, you will decrease the carbohydrates levels. And if the person is also overweight, then you have to moderate the calories, and you have to decrease the carbohydrates. You have to enrich the proteins and add the nutrients, which is very beneficial to that person. So like that, the pathological condition should be also needed to note to plan a menu. And next, coming to the general psychological conditions, that is food habits, food choices, and meal time. See, meal time plays an important role. See, general the meal time starts from 6 o'clock, early morning drink. And next, coming to, see, I am saying according to hospital diets, but generally we have to consume in that manner itself to maintain our body very healthy, right? So for meal time, generally the meal time starts from 6 o'clock, and then forwarded to 8 a.m., and then forwarded to 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., and then forwarded to 1 p.m., and then forwarded to 4:30 to 5 p.m., and then forwarded to night 8 to 9 p.m., and then forwarded to 10 p.m., the bedtime meal, and then a very good sleep. So this is the very basic meal time that a person should follow. But generally if you're giving a diet, or if you're making a menus, it starts from 9 o'clock, early 9 o'clock. Or if a person is drinking some healthy drinks at early morning, that person can start from 8 o'clock, and then the person can also eat breakfast at 9 o'clock. It's very healthy if you're starting with a drink. So like that, if you're maintaining a meal time throughout your day, it gives a very efficient to your body, to enhances your body, and also it what we will say, it gives a very good strength also. And it plays an important role to change your lifestyle. We can also say that it moderates your lifestyle also. So that is the basic thing of meal time. And next, coming to the food habits, we have to know their food habits also, what they are consuming and what they are lacking. If a person is consuming more carbohydrates, that should be noted. And if the person is consuming very less proteins, and increase of carbohydrates may leads to diabetes. So these type of food habits, and also we have to note. And we have to note the food choices, what they are consuming. Like we have to know if the person is choosing more caloric foods or more protein foods. Based on their food choices, we can also know that, and based on the lacking loopholes of the choices, we can also plan a diet. So that is 11th principle of menu planning. And next, availability of food. As I said, availability of food is nothing but locally managed foods. So locally managed foods means the foods which were locally available ingredients. Based on the locally available ingredients, that we have to plan a menu. And next, about food cost. So food cost plays an important role. Overall menu plan should not be exceed more than 500 rupees. Everything from morning to evening, the menu for the day should not be exceed more than that. It should be in a very in a cautious manner, because it should be like luxurious and very cheap. In that manner, we have to give the menu planning. So the food cost plays an important role during menu planning. These with the help of this food cost, we can also balance economics status based on their family composition. So like that, so it is also plays an important role. So these are the some basic principles of menu planning. So yes, so మీకు ఇప్పుడు మెనూ ప్లానింగ్ గురించి మొత్తం అర్థమైంది. సో లెట్ us బై హార్ట్ హౌ. ఎట్లా బై హార్ట్ చేయాలంటే, జనరల్గా మీరు జనరల్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అని గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. జనరల్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అంటే అప్ టు 1 to 7. జనరల్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అంటే ఒక క్లయింట్ని మనం కలిసినప్పుడు జనరల్గా అడిగే ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్. నెక్స్ట్, న్యూట్రిషనల్ అసెస్మెంట్స్ ఏమొస్తాయి, బిఎంఐస్ అండ్ స్క్రీనింగ్స్, ఇవన్నీ వస్తాయి. సో యూ హ్యావ్ టు నో దర్ బాడీ స్టేటస్, ఫిజియోలాజికల్ కండిషన్స్ అండ్ ప్యాథలాజికల్ కండిషన్స్. అంటే పూరా మెడికల్ న్యూట్రిషనల్ థెరపీ అని వచ్చింది. ఓకే, సో 8th 9th 10th ఆ కేటగిరీ కింద వేసుకోండి. అండ్ నెక్స్ట్ సైకలాజికల్ కండిషన్స్, అంటే ఆ పర్సన్కి ఏది ఎక్కువ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉంది, దీంట్లో 11th దాంట్లో తెలిసిపోతుంది కదా. అండ్ మీకు జనరల్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్లో 12 13 కూడా వేసుకోవచ్చు, కానీ యూ కెన్ ఆల్సో గివ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ అ సింపుల్ ఓవరాల్, అంటే యు ఆర్ థింకింగ్ అనమాట అవైలబిలిటీ ఆఫ్ ఫుడ్ అండ్ ఫుడ్ కాస్ట్. సో లైక్ దట్ మీరు ఈ బేసిక్ ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ని ఈజీగా నేర్చుకోవచ్చు. ఇట్ ఈస్ నథింగ్ టు బై హార్డ్ ఇన్ అ సీరియల్ మేనర్. ఇదేం సీరియల్గా లేదు బుక్లో కూడా. ఇట్ ఈస్ లైక్ ఇన్ డిఫరెంట్ కేటగిరీస్ ఇన్ డిఫరెంట్ టైప్, బట్ ఐ రోట్ ఇన్ ఏ వెరీ సింపుల్ మేనర్ దట్ యూ కెన్ రైట్. ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఫర్ లాంగ్ ఆన్సర్. లాంగ్ ఆన్సర్కి ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఇది. ఓకే, సో ప్లీజ్ గో త్రూ దిస్ 13 ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ క్లియర్లీ. మీరు ఏజ్ అని పెట్టి ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ ఇవ్వాలి, జెండర్ అని పెట్టి ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ ఇవ్వాలి. నేను ఇంతసేపు చెప్పిందంతా అదే. సో ఐ జస్ట్ రోట్ ది సైడ్ హెడ్డింగ్స్ అండ్ యూ నీడ్ టు గివ్ అ వెరీ గుడ్ ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ డ్యూరింగ్ రైటింగ్. అండ్ ఎగ్జామ్ రైటింగ్లో కూడా సబ్ హెడ్డింగ్స్ లేకుండా ఒక్క ఆన్సర్ రాసిన ఇట్స్ నాట్ అట్రాక్టివ్, రైట్? సో ఫర్ దట్ ఇలా పెట్టుకొని ఇలా రాస్తే మంచి మార్క్స్ పడతాయి. సో దట్ ఈస్ అబౌట్ ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ ఆఫ్ మెను ప్లానింగ్.